I think it's sometimes it's a staffing issue. I won't say it's a technology issue because most hotels nowadays have the technology, so it could be a processing issue or a staffing issue. Sometimes it's hard to find those good workers, and then once you find those good workers, sometimes it's hard to keep those good workers. It depends on what a person is looking for. Some people will leave for $2 more. I'm like, but what about the experience, the benefits, what's going on? So sometimes it's a staffing issue, and sometimes it's just the processes that people don't understand the importance of the process. And like I said, going back to the why, they don't understand the why behind the process that's taking place.
So welcome back to Deep Current. I'm Andy Monge with Ocean's Code Experts, and today we're diving into hospitality, but not the polished brochure version, right? We're talking about what actually happens behind the scenes to create a great guest experience. So drive hotel performance, keep teams moving in the industry, and that really never stops. So today I'm joined by Cassandra Willingham from Helix Hospitality. Cassandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Excited for this one because Helix seems to be a very intentional approach to hospitality. It's a little bit different.
Yes.
Not just owning or managing the hotels, but really thinking about culture, execution, guest experience, and how teams operate in general. All that good stuff for sure. But before we get into the business side, let's start with you, with the person. How did you get into hospitality? Was it something planned or they just pulled you in?
Absolutely not. And I guess I will probably be telling my age when I tell this story on how I got into hospitality. I got into hospitality on what you would say, a dare. I won't say a bet. So I'll say it was more of a dare because there was no money attached to it. But based on that particular dare, I was actually in graduate school working on my master's degree. And one of the questions that was posed to my team was, no one ever gets hired when they apply for a job online. And that seems really funny right now because everything that we do nowadays is online. But then it was in the era of like 2000, 99, 2000, we didn't really, apply online. It was a little bit of applying online, and still people were going to the actual location and filling out an application. So I said my response was on the positive end. I was the pro for actually putting out your information online and hiring online, and some of the people were against it. So I said, well, I'm looking for a position. Let me apply for this job in the hospitality industry. Had no clue what a sales manager for a hotel did, what it was all about. But I knew I had an undergraduate degree in marketing and I had been in sales. So I said, so let me apply for this particular position with the Courtyard by Marriott. I applied for the position online, and probably less than a week later had my interview, went in and secured the job. So, of course, it proved the point that when a person actually is applying online, that a company is actually looking at the resume and hiring a person. So that kind of put that under the water. That showed everybody that, people do get hired when they apply for a position online. I started with the Courtyard, like I said, as a sales manager, got into it and kind of was like, what took me so long to get into hospitality? Because it's such a unique field. You meet so many people. Short story, we met T.I. before he was actually big. T.I., he came and stayed at the Courtyard because he wasn't making the money that he's making now. So he came and stayed at the Courtyard. So you get to meet a lot of just different people. You get to help people. And like I said, I started in 2001 in this industry. I've tried to get out a couple of times. I've tried to retire a couple of times, and it always calls me back. I enjoy what I do. I tell people, if we did not need money to live, I would do it for free because I really, really enjoy it, but we got to have money. So, why not get paid for something that you enjoy doing? So that's how I got into hospitality. And I've learned at this point not to fight against it. I'm not looking anywhere outside of hospitality. So I stopped. I've had a couple of other jobs outside of hospitality, but I feel like this is my calling and I'm here.
So my follow-up question would be, what got you hooked up like in hospitality at first?
Well, what actually hooked me into hospitality first off, my very first day, and I'm not saying a week, my very first day in hospitality, another hotel that was close to us closed. They
Mm,
like all of a sudden closed their doors. And I've always been a networking person. Like I said, my undergraduate degree is in marketing. So I've always, just personal gone to networking events that were in the city. So I knew a lot of the people at the Birmingham Convention, Greater Birmingham Convention and Visitors Bureau. They were just personal friends of mine. And they found out that I was going into the hospitality business. So my very first day when that hotel closed, I get a call from one of the representatives at the Birmingham Convention and Visitors Bureau that's saying that this hotel is closing and hey, I need your help. And I guess by nature, I'm a fixer. I like to help. I like to
mhm.
fix the solution. So when she said, hey, I need your help, I was all ears in and all, what can I do to help? And it was basically wedding business. So that's a special occasion
Yeah,
for a female, especially. That's a special occasion. So I was all ears and all in. And to make sure that I could assist those brides in moving the actual sleeping rooms over to my hotel, it sounds a little cliche, but I got to save the day, and
it's gratifying.
it was a good feeling
Yeah,
to know that on someone's special occasion that I don't even know them, but I became a part of their special occasion and was able to assist. So, and don't get me, not every bride is cooperative and a good bride. So I've had some of those bridezillas as well, but in that particular instances, it was a good feeling and it was something that I felt like I wanted to continue to do.
it's great. And for listeners who may not know what Helix is, even myself, because I did my research, but it's a little bit different than what I was expecting. So can you describe the company and what kind of hospitality operation you're a part of?
Helix is a franchise. I know everybody hear about Marriott and Hilton and all that, but there are franchise companies that actually purchase different hotels. So Helix is one of those franchise companies. We're smaller compared to some of the other franchise companies. We're just kind of starting out, and we have about 9, 10 hotels right now. Not all of them are Marriott properties. We have a combination of Marriott,
Uh-huh.
Hilton properties, Choice, different types of properties. And what it is an ownership company that goes out and purchases different hotel brands, because I work for the Marriott brand. So they purchase different hotel brands, and
Got it.
some they have to renovate, some are brand new. And they're the management company that actually manages the different hotels. So I don't have to answer to the big Marriott International. Helix does that for me. I just need to follow what the brand standards are. So they actually do, I guess you would say, the legwork for the company. They actually do. I've been with them for about a year now. And well, not even a year. I'm saying a year, not even a year, not quite a year yet. And they've been a good company. When I first came on with them, everything was so new. We didn't even have healthcare insurance, but we
Mm,
do have healthcare insurance now. And as we grow, we're getting things. It's been, I've worked for some management companies that were not so pleasant to work for, but so far everybody has been encouraging. I'm somewhat of a seasoned director of sales or salesperson, so they know I take things to the next level, but they kind of let me do my job. They don't bother me a whole lot, and they can see it in the results with the revenue, increasing. So it's been a good company thus far to work for, to be a part of.
that's amazing. And are you in specific markets or are you all around the United States?
Right now, I'm in a specific market. I am in the Hoover market, Hoover, Birmingham. I don't know if you're familiar
Mhm.
with that particular area, but Hoover is a subsidiary of Birmingham, Alabama. It's a very unique and interesting market. Hoover is growing by leaps and bounds. We have our claim to fame used to be the Galleria Mall. However, we have a new mayor, and the mayor he's doing, I don't know if you're familiar with Atlanta and the work life play. So we're about to go into that. We also have one of the largest sports facilities for baseball. We host the SEC baseball tournaments here every year in May. So that's something that's held as a citywide. And we do a lot of sports, perfect game sports. We do a lot of baseball because of that metropolitan stadium that we
Mhm.
have. We have a $28 million complex that they're working on to bring to this particular area. It's going to be a combination of senior living. We kind of got the restaurants in there and healthcare. So that's on the burner. So it's a very diverse city. It's growing. Our market is growing. And as much as our market is growing, the hotels are coming in as well. We just had a new Hilton branded hotel come into the area, a Hilton Garden Inn and Homewood Suite to come into the area. So it's a good market.
So it's growing. It's growing. What you're trying to say is hospitality is growing in general, like hotels,
Yes,
food,
yes,
everything, entertainment.
yes,
Got
yes.
it. Interesting. Very, very good. And for your role specifically, what does your normal week look like? Not like the JD you see on LinkedIn, right? But like the real version. What's the nitty-gritty behind it?
Be honest, my week, like I said before, I've been doing this for quite some time. So my week may be unique to others that may be looking to start out in the week. I actually have a general manager that he and
Mhm.
I have worked together before.
Okay.
So he understands my work style. He understands, how I get things done. So my week is really not that I guess you would say strenuous because I have certain things that I do. I'm very organized and I'm very detailed, which I find that to be just a good trait to have for this type of position. So on Mondays, weekend business for our particular hotel is really big. We do a lot of sports. Like I said, the market has a lot of sports in it. So we do a lot of sports. So the weekend business is really big. So my Mondays, I'm usually just kind of reconciling who stayed with us. Do
Mhm.
we need to pay any? Sometimes there's commission to be paid to a third party. Who do we need to pay any commission to anybody? So my Mondays are typically administrative work. I am currently looking for another sales coordinator. I had a sales coordinator and I no longer have one. And he or she would do that administrative work. But since I don't have
Right.
one right now, I'm doing the administrative part. So my Mondays are typically filled with let me get the administrative part out of the way. So I'm usually making it an office day and doing, anything that needs to be done in the office. Like I said, my Tuesday probably through Friday, I am very big in the Hoover market. I'm an ambassador for the Hoover Chamber of Commerce. So I go to a lot of ribbon cuttings, grand openings, and just different things to explain about the Hoover market. Actually, this evening, I will be the moderator for some interns that are thinking about the hospitality industry. So I'll get to kind of be, the moderator to let them know the pros and the cons, and we'll talk to some different hotel owners and some different hotel general managers and just to talk about that. So my week I usually start I'm not an early bird, not
Mhm.
anymore. So I usually start my day off about 9-ish in the morning, and it depends on what actually is going on in the hotel. If I have groups in the hotel, my groups, I'm usually their point of contact. I've been talking to them. They signed the agreements with me. They signed, I've been their person. So personally, I like to be at the front desk when they come in because
Oh,
they're used to me. Yes, my front desk agent is capable to handle it, but they're used to talking to me and to put a face with the name. I usually
of course.
stick around and meet all of my guests and try to meet them as they check in. So that works a little bit different than other people because some people work 9 to 5 and they go home. I don't typically say that I have a 9 to 5 day. I have a day that is filled with necessity because if I need to come in at 7 o'clock, I come in at 7 o'clock. If I need to leave at 7 o'clock, I leave at 7 o'clock. So my day is very flexible. I've learned over the years not to pinpoint that, okay, this is my time and that's what I'm going to do. That doesn't work for me. I work as necessary. And I'm going to be honest, some days I may work 4 hours. That's what that day required. it's what that day required, that 4 hours was enough, and I can, I can head out and do something different. But you have to realize I don't want anybody to get it misunderstood. This comes with experience and this comes with results. To be able to be flexible like this, most people that work with me know that I'm going to bring the results, and they don't micromanage me because they know if we let her do my general manager would say, let her do her mojo. Let her out there and do her mojo. So I don't know what my mojo, what it's all about, but he'll usually say, let her do her mojo. And I kind of get out there and do my thing. And I don't like to be, I guess, pinned in a glass box. So my day is very flexible. I do what's necessary in the run of a day. So if that
Makes sense.
answers it.
And
Mhm.
following up to that, how much of your time is like sales strategy versus relationship management versus like solving day-to-day fires?
I have learned to give some of those fires away. So that comes with time too. So my fires are probably about 2% of my time because I've learned to delegate, delegate, delegate. So most of the times the fires are not from the sales department. It's usually something operational. So I've learned to delegate and hand those fires off to someone else. But my sales strategy is 50% of the job because my
Okay.
job, most people don't understand what a director of sales is. My job is to bring revenue into this particular hotel. My job is to bring revenue in. And I tell people all the time, the director of sales, although I love my general manager and assistant general manager, we are one of the most important parts of the hotel because we are the revenue generators for the,
Yeah.
we drive revenue, we drive growth for the hotel. So sales, I say 50%, but it's probably more like 80% that I'm doing because I'm driving the revenue for the hotel. I'm looking for new business. Not only am I looking for new business, I'm trying to make sure that we're maintaining the relationship of the business that we currently have because if I'm not taking care of my guests, then guess what? Somebody else will. So, it's probably more 80%. And then everything else, like I said, is probably that, 19, 18%. And then that 2% on those fires to equal 100, because I've learned fires will get you bogged down. And it took me some time, but when you know better, you do better. Delegate it. Give it to someone else. Mhm.
Perfect. I love it. And what part of the operation or team are you most proud of right now?
My God, my front desk. That is an easy answer. That is an easy answer. My front desk staff, and they're probably the ones that I'm most proud of. But if coming in at a close second, I would also have to say my housekeepers. They have a really tough job. My housekeepers, because as much as I feel the hotel, they have to clean those rooms and flip those rooms for
Mm.
new stayover guests or for new guests in the hotel. And we're not the type of hotel that, no, we're not going to clean your room today. If you are here, we're going to clean your room every day. We're not saying, oh, well, you'll get your room clean. You're here for a week and you'll get your room clean 2 days out of that week. We're not that hotel. We're going to clean your room every day. So I would have to say my front desk staff, because when I came, they weren't getting all of the necessary information, I guess you would say, when a person
Okay.
was checking in. And I would look at it and say, well, who is this? Why did they check in? Why were they here? But just knowledge now, training them on the why that is important to get the information. They're getting that information. And we're having successful sales talk. I even have one that is probably potential going to be my coordinator because he has started to sell. And without him even realizing that he's selling, he has started to sell. So, the best coordinators and the best people come from the front desk because they know the industry inside and out. So I would have to say front desk first, housekeeping a close second.
That's perfect. And
Mhm.
that's because of the people per se, or the process, or the technology behind it, or everything coming together.
Everything coming together. There were no processes before. And like I
Mm.
said, teaching the why and letting them understand why it's important. And even talking to my housekeepers and letting them know, because they were kind of, when I first got here, they were kind of like, gonna flatten your tires if you go, and they were joking, I guess they were joking. They said, "We're gonna flatten your tires if you bring any more business in this hotel because we are tired. We're tired. We're cleaning these rooms, and it's a lot. It's it's a lot to be in a hotel, 152 rooms, and you got to flip these rooms. You got 7 suites in here. You got to flip these rooms and clean all this stuff." But when I explain the why to them, this is our bread and butter. This is what keeps all of us employed. This is what gets us all bonuses. This is what makes it. So when they understood the why, they're like, now bring more, bring more. We can handle it. We can take it. What's going on? Why is this week a slow week? So I think it was a combination of everything, the technology, the processes and everything, just a combination of understanding all of that.
And when you joined, would you say that that was not the best thing, and now you feel like it's the best because of the changes?
Yes, when I joined, there were really not a whole lot of processes. And just to kind of back up a little bit and give you a little bit of the backstory, my general manager and I previously worked together at another
Mm,
for another ownership company and another hotel. It was kind of in the Hoover market as well, but
mhm.
he went one his separate way and I went another way. And we always have been a good team. I guess you would say we've
Okay.
been a good team together. And when he took on this project, he was already working for Helix at another one of their properties. And when he took on this particular hotel, we bought this hotel in November of 2025. And when we got the hotel, the processes wasn't there. And
Mm.
just really on a whim, this is how God works or things work. I sent him a text message because it was around Christmas time. So you're saying, "Hey, what you doing for the holidays? How you doing?"
Yeah.
Because we always keep in touch with each other. How are you doing? What you doing for the holidays? And he was like, "My goodness, there is a God." So I was like, "What?" Kind of put the question mark and your hands up in the air. What? What are you talking about? And he told me that he had taken on this project and he was like, "I need your help. I need your
Okay.
help to come over to get the numbers on the positive side and get some processes in place." So he and I talked and I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." And we came over. So we're back. We always say we try to make the dream teams because it's not me and it's not him. It's a
Mhm.
team effort. And I think when people realize that it's a team effort like that, they'll understand a little bit better that it takes all of us. I can go out there and get the business, but if no one on the team wants to deal with me or wants to handle the business, then it's not going to work. So we actually have a great team. I love you know, to praise the team. And even if they didn't know, when you tell them, I think when people understand what the why is behind their job,
Mhm.
it makes them proud. Well, I have found it makes them proud. Some people you can light a fire to them and they just going to burn up. But most people,
Mhm.
when you tell them the why, they're going to actually, get excited and get motivated to do it. So we have, like I said, a great team here and we're doing it.
Nice. I like it. And when people outside hospitality hear hotel sales, they might think it's just rate, rooms, and bookings, right? But I can
Hmm.
imagine the real work is more relationship driven. You mentioned it already. Like the front desk people tend to be good sales coordinators because they know the business inside out.
Hmm.
So has that changed over the past few years?
I don't think it has changed. I think it's more noticeable over the past few years. And I think the real successful people really horn into that it takes the people and it's not just heads and beds. It takes the guest satisfaction. A head in a bed that just says, "Hey, we're never going to come back," and they give you a bad review and everybody see that, they were awful, that will hurt you more than that head being in bed. And we could have gotten really high revenue from that room.
Mhm.
But if they give you a bad review and nobody wants to come in and see you, it doesn't mean anything. So I think over the years, the process has changed. And like I said before, I think the front desk associates understand the guest satisfaction, and I feel like when you explain the why, you get better results. I guess would be the easiest way to put it. When you
Yeah.
explain the why, you get better results out of your team. And we have explained the why here, and we're getting better results. Did that answer or
Yes. No, it does. It does. But and right now, I mean, I think what times have changed is now is more digital, right? Like 25
right?
years ago, it wasn't that way. And what matters more today? Is it price, experience, flexibility, brand trust, speed?
It depends on the guest. For in a hotel, you have several different types of guests, several different types of segments. So it depends on the guest. I always say that the experience is more important when you have brand loyal guests, when they're Bonvoy Rewards members. Although price is important, they want the experience. They truly want that experience. And sometimes when you have those third party guests that are going through like a booking.com or maybe Expedia or something like that, price is more important. So they're not loyal to any one particular brand. When they go out there
Mhm.
and they're booking their room, if Marriott is the most cost effective, they're going to use me. If Hilton is the most cost effective, they're going to go with them. So they're not really, loyal to any. So price is more important to them. So when I'm dealing with my corporate side clients who spend the majority of their time traveling with their positions and their job, yeah, they want to save the company a little bit of money, but it's the company's money. So they'll let the company handle that and negotiate the rate with us. When they get here, they want a clean room. They want to be able to
Yeah.
relax. So it just depends on the type of guest. It depends on that person. So I don't think there's a one size fit all answer to that question. It just depends on the different
On
type
who's
of
coming.
guests.
Yeah, it makes sense. And something I find interesting about the hospitality side of business is that in sales specifically, it doesn't end when the booking is made, even though if it's paid already. It's the experience, right? You mentioned it already. You go there and receive them in the front desk. You want to make sure that put a face and name. So when do you actually feel like you won the business, or when is it that now we have to execute? Like when does that happen?
Feel like I've won the business when I get repeat business and when I get
Okay.
referrals. So if they come back again and they come back a few times, I've won the business. And definitely if they say Andy told me to call you, I did something right because Andy said call, I did something right with that business. So I feel at that point, if you're referring me to someone, you have the confidence and know that I'm going to take care of that person. So I feel like I've won the business at that point.
That's perfect.
Mhm.
And trying to move more into the operational side of the business, what information has to move from sales to ops so the guest or group feels like they're being taken care of?
Well, from sales to ops, I could book 50 rooms in here. If I don't tell my housekeeping manager that I have 50 rooms that are going to be coming in on Thursday and give an estimated time, she has to schedule properly. So you have to do communications with everyone. And I do a team communications with everyone once a week. We sit down because although I may be strong in sales, operations is not my, that's not my strength. I do know
Mhm.
how to work operations, but that's not my strength. And although I may be selling something, she may be able to tell me, hey, Cassandra, we were full on a Wednesday night. We're not going to be able to flip those rooms until 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, possibly. Well, if it's a group, I can kind of relay that information to the host of the group to say, maybe they want to go and grab something to eat before they come and check in
Mhm.
because we're not going to have the rooms ready until this particular time, or we'll have half of the rooms ready and maybe some can come and some, but not giving those false expectations. And I believe if you, what do they say? Over deliver, under commit.
Mhm.
So don't commit something and then you got egg on your face. Over deliver, but being with the operational staff and communicating the rooms, even with the restaurant, we have a bistro in the courtyard, which is a cook to order meal, whether it's a breakfast meal or whether it's a dinner meal, it's a cook to order meal. So I can book the hotel to its capacity if I have not communicated with the restaurant manager to have enough staff in there, then we all fail. It's not, he failed because I didn't tell him. So it's a communication. So it's very important from the sales side to actually communicate to every department in the hotel, not just the front desk, not just, I should be, what I do is I do a weekly report and I actually give them something physical to look at that they know how many rooms are coming in. And it's for staffing purpose so that we are ready when the guests come in and we can give, great customer care. to those guests.
That's great. And it's very interesting because I think every industry talks about like customer experience. But hotels, the experience is different. It's physical, it's immediate, right? It's unforgiving. It's something
Hmm.
not nice, something's not clean, somebody is having a bad day and treated a guest poorly, something breaks, right? And the guest feels it right away. So do you think that guest expectations have changed in recent years because of digital and how fast and how everything is? Or is it the same? We just keep higher standards now?
No, it has changed. The
Mhm.
guests with the digital age, it has changed. The guests there are more demanding than in years past, and they will let you know quickly
Mhm.
if something goes wrong. Because it is a digital age, you can best believe if you did not take care of that situation or issue, challenge, whatever you want to call it, immediately, you will be on Facebook, Instagram. Something is going to, so you need to take care of it pretty quickly because it has changed, and some for the better. Some I'm just like, well, whoa, wait a minute. You didn't give us a chance. It just happened 10 minutes ago and you're out here. So you didn't give us a chance. So yeah, it has changed. The expectation has changed. And to be honest, people are spending their hard-earned money. I get it.
Yeah.
You're spending your hard-earned money. You want the best, and you want to know that you're getting a good value for the dollars that you're spending. So I get it.
And I also feel like they're also expecting a lot more digital communication. Like before arriving, sending messages, emails, or whatever. They're expecting confirmation. A lot of things that didn't happen before.
Right.
You booked a
Right.
hotel, you just went there, hoping that your reservation is still valid, and you
Right.
just went there, and it is what it is. And I think they're also comparing hospitality and hotels to other industries. Like basically, that they're comparing your website to Amazon or
Yeah.
Uber, or they're
Yep.
trying to find more convenience. And it's a different type of service, right? But at the end of the day, the comparison exists.
Yeah, they exist. And then when you say that about everybody, like you said, everybody wants digital. So even in this era, years ago, everybody had to stop by the desk to get their key. Now
Yeah.
you don't have to do that. Now a lot of people check in online and we never even see that guest until, if we see them in the lobby or whatever, but we don't even see them because they have a mobile key on their phone and they use their cell phone to unlock it and check in and check out. So we don't even see them anymore. So it has changed.
But something has to stay human, right? At the end of the day, it's hotels. What would the top thing be that you have to see? Like, what needs to stay human?
To say every sale still needs to be human. And although there are I guess, some test markets that they're testing robots, I feel like the front desk needs to stay human. I really believe that the front desk needs to stay human because with technology, when it's good, it's great. But when it does not work, then a lot of people might suffer. So I believe on the sales side, I tell people all the time, you can't do my job. A robot can't do my job. You can't do my job because I'm personable. I'm out there. I'm talking to people. I'm visiting people. I'm on site. You can physically talk to me on the phone. You don't have to press one. So I would think if any industry, company, brand, whatever, if they got rid of their sales force, I would believe that they would be in a whole lot of trouble.
Of course, I think yeah. It's we're not even close to a state where everything can be
Right.
digital and self-managed. I think we're not
Right.
even close.
Right.
Something that I keep thinking about is about the pre-arrival window, right? Hotel may have the guest information days before they get there, but a lot of properties do very little with that information or with that window beyond a confirmation email. From your perspective, what should happen between the booking and the check-in to give a better, I don't know, feeling or a better experience to the customer?
The people that have the most success with the pre-arrival experience, they reach out. We have what's called a arrivals report that you can basically print out the arrivals report months ahead of time. It changes possibly daily, but you can print it out months ahead of time. And from my perspective, we've been successful because on that report, we send out welcome letters we're anticipating you coming in. Is
Mhm.
there something, especially if it's a group, is there someone in your group that may have a special need? Just last week, a great example, we had a person that was a vegan, and we knew that they were going to be here with us for 7 days, and then they needed gluten-free items as well. So we made sure that that information was delivered to our kitchen manager so that he knew this person is going to be here for 7 days. We need to have some separate something that they can order off of, and they don't have to keep thinking about it and well, what can I eat? What's on the menu? Because they may look at the big menu on the wall and they may not see anything, but we know they're here. So we made up a special little card and it didn't have but maybe about 10 items on there, but there were choices for that person to be able to eat something. And they were very excited that someone took the time, but that all came from the pre-arrivals, looking at the list, sending out the email. An email with Chat GPT nowadays, I'm just going to be honest. With Chat GPT nowadays, you can write a response or send a letter to somebody in 2 minutes, if that, 5 minutes, tell it what you want it to say, hit send, Chat GPT writes it for you, and you share it with the guest, and you can gather that information. So I don't see in the world today why we're not reaching out to our guests to say, is there something additional? I have military people that stay with me that travel a lot, getting an understanding on what's needed and not waiting till they get here, because I had some unique situations with the military. The military was paying for a few nights, but the people wanted to stay over. So getting an understanding that, yes, this person is going to stay extra days and they need to pay for those extra days. How are we going to route the payment? How are we going to do it? Getting with the front desk, getting with the assistant general manager to make sure those things are done. And to me, if you don't do that prior to arrival, it's not to say that you can't do it when they get here, but it's a little bit more stressful once the guests arrive and you're trying to put that together. So it's been successful for me because I print it out and I do it prior to them getting here. I do those little steps, prior to someone arriving. Now, I do it mostly with groups, and I leave the titanium, the elite, the silver, I leave those type of pre-check-ins to the front desk. Most of the things that I do it for my groups that are coming.
No, and you mentioned the personalization part of their stay, right? Like giving them that opportunity to have something different, making sure that it's personal to them, not just something generic. And you also mentioned helpful information versus annoying information, which is very, very important. And do you think that hotels are leaving revenue on the table because their guest journey is not connected enough before the arrival? Or you think that the hotels that aren't doing a better pre-arrival process are getting better rebookings or better referrals?
I think it's a combination of both. And the reason why I say that, I'm going to give you an example. So, like I said before, we do a lot of sports at this particular hotel. And a lot of the sports are required, a lot of the teams are required to book through a third party. So the third party sends us the information, and we basically have more contact with the third party than we do the actual guest. However, in pulling the arrivals report, that pre-check-in, I started seeing a rate code, which is considered to be a long-term stay rate code. And I started seeing that rate code over and over and over again. I was like, what is going on that these people are staying there using this rate code in our system? So one of the things that I did is everybody that had that rate code and had an email address, I've sent them an email, but when I sent them an email, like you said, it wasn't an annoying email. The email would benefit them as well. I said, hey, notice you had this rate code. You're going to be here for 7 days. What's bringing you to town? Kind of putting it, what's bringing you to town? And for the information, I was like, just for sending back to me what you're going to be here for, which was one sentence for most of them, I'll give you 1,000 points for that. They were like, what? All I got to do is respond and say, baseball. We're coming for baseball. And you get 1,000 points. So, and not everybody did it, but out of the probably 10 that I sent out, maybe I had 4 that sent back, and they were like, shoot, give us our 1,000 points. We want those points. So, but it did help to uncover that information on why they were staying and why they were using that rate code. So again, I think the success is doing the pre-arrivals and doing the pre-checks. And when you're dealing with corporate groups, military, sports teams, the more information that my front desk has, the better it is. Because if a corporate group, if everybody's giving me their information, or if there's one master credit card on file, then guess what? That's less time when that group gets in, they're already pre-checked in, and all we're doing is show me your ID and I'm gonna give you your key. You're saying you've been traveling all day. You don't want to stick around in my lobby and what's that last name? You don't want to be, you want to get your key, go to your room and relax and get you something to eat, shower, and go to sleep. So I think the more efficient and effective that we make the process, the better experience the guests will have.
That makes sense. And going back to hotels that are probably leaving revenue on the table because of the pre-arrival, do you think is a technology issue, a staffing issue, or a process issue?
I think it's sometimes it's a staffing issue. I won't say it's a technology issue because most hotels nowadays have the technology, so it could be a processing issue or a staffing issue. Sometimes it's hard to find those good workers, and then once you find those good workers, sometimes it's hard to keep those good workers. It depends on what a person is looking for. Some people will leave for $2 more. And I'm like, but what about the experience, the benefits, what's going on? So sometimes it's a staffing issue, and sometimes it's just the processes that people don't understand the importance of the process. And like I said, going back to the why, they don't understand the why behind the process that's taking place.
I think I read on your website, on Helix's website, it says technology is built for operators. I like that phrase because hospitality has plenty of tools, right? But not all of them fit the way people actually work.
Right.
So what makes the hotel technology useful in the real world?
I mean, we use just a regular computer system. Nowadays, my 84-year-old father he has a smartphone. He doesn't know how to use all of the features on the smartphone, but he has a smartphone, and understanding the technology and being able to use it, I just think that's important now. Time will pass you by, or life will pass you by, if you're not keeping up with the technology. The operators are not keeping up with the technology. And like I said, most people have them. It's just who's taking the time to actually horn in and learn what's going on. Because most people, I mean, if you got a hotel, most people have the technology, they just don't use the technology. So utilize it. I've been in hotels that had mobile check-in and they turned it off. I'm like, why? Why would you turn that off? That's less traffic for you. Why would you? So most
Mhm.
people have it. It's just, to me, they don't utilize the resources that they actually have.
Perfect. And
Mhm.
particularly in hospitality, I mean, hotels, there's a lot of, even you have a good system, it's full of surprises or exceptions, right? I
Yes.
guess that's an issue, a maintenance surprise, a staffing gap, whatever can happen. So where does your human judgment still matter most?
When you To me, your human judgment matters most when situations may arise. Let me think of a good situation. A good situation is guest checks into a hotel. They go into their room. When they get into the room has water on the floor. It's the type that they need. Hotel is almost sold out. You don't have that room type to offer them anymore because you're almost sold out. And judgment comes in on what are you going to do? They don't want to stay in that room. You don't want to lose the business. So when you empower your people and give them these scenarios, you're able to split, hey, I don't have a room with two beds in it, but I have a room that has a king with a sleeper sofa. It's only three people. I have a room that has a king size bed with a sleeper sofa. Will that work? If that doesn't work, I have two king rooms side by side. Can we
Mhm.
share the so you have to empower your people to be
Yeah.
creative. So that's where the human side come in, because if there was a robot at the desk, a robot doesn't know how to be human and do that. So
Yeah.
that's where the human side come in, that they're taking empathy and sympathy with that guest to solve the problem.
And what should never be automated then?
Think the check-in process should be automated, but it is. It is. It has become automated. I don't think it should be automated, but it has been automated. And, because I think most people, now there are some that would rather have technology, but I think most people want to interact with a person. They want to be able to talk to a person. If there is a change, in a situation. They want to be able to talk to a person. I mean, personally, I've had a personal experience myself that I had an emergency and I've passed the regular cancellation date on the reservation, but an emergency came up and I couldn't go. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to lose my money because I have a true emergency that I can't go. I think with technology is going to be like, well, sorry, it's one night room and tax. So I believe that that human interaction with that person cannot replace, me calling Andy. Hey, Andy, I have an emergency. I'm not
No.
going to be able to make it. Can we move it, where I don't lose my money? Can we move this reservation or can we cancel the reservation or whatever? So I'm probably in the minority, but I don't think that the check-in process should never have a person there. I think it needs a human contact. But,
So that works. That works. And looking ahead, like where do you think hospitality is going over the next few years? Not the buzzword version, like the real version. What do you feel or what do you think with your experience?
it's gonna go to a lot of technology. Now, I don't want to get rid of my restaurant people, but if we were to go to a non-human something, maybe the restaurant could do a non-human something and taking orders and making something, maybe that. So I believe it's gonna go to that. I believe that we're gonna have more like robot type waiters or waitresses, however you want to call it, in the restaurant. I don't believe that ever there'll be enough technology put in place to be in the housekeeping department.
Mhm.
Maybe as far as taking linen up to the different types of floors, maybe it'll be some type of robot, some type of electronics that make that process a little bit more effective with that. But I do believe that every Marriott, although Hilton has been doing it for years, Marriott just recently went to the fact that I don't know if you've ever used an associate form to get a discount on your room. Someone works at Marriott and you use their discount and they give you this paper form and you take it in. Well, all of the paper's gone now. So that's electronic. So I think it's years to come. We will have more processes. I do think, though, it's going to be a trial and error on some things because just like I just said about the front desk, there are some test hotels right now that are using, computers and electronics
Mhm.
for the front desk. I think maybe that'll work in maybe a tourist spot or something like that. But I think we're going to learn by trial and error, unfortunately, what's
Yeah.
going to work and what's not going to work. And we'll learn by Marriott still does focus groups. So we'll learn by some of those focus groups because a lot of people ask, the courtyard in particular does not have microwaves in their rooms.
Mhm.
We'll have a microwave in a lobby, but not in the rooms. And they're like, what's the deal with that? And I said, well, when the focus groups are taking place, they said the refrigerator is more important than the microwave. They didn't care about a microwave. So depending on the focus group, that's what the focus group said. The focus group said, so I think a lot of technology, I don't think everything is going to work. I'm just being honest and transparent.
Mhm.
Andy, I think we're gonna lean toward because, like I said, AI is big right now, technology is big right now, and I think we're gonna learn by trial and error what works for the hospitality industry and what doesn't.
And if you were advising a hotel operator who wants to modernize or prepare for the future, where would you recommend that person or operator to start? Would it be guest experience, team operations, reporting, sales?
I would always say guest experience. The guests make or break you. If
Okay.
I'm investing anything, I'm investing in my guest experience because, like I said, they're the revenue generators. If we have no guests, shut the doors. So, absolutely, guest experience.
What is one decision, process, or change you've seen in the last year or 2 years that you would call a real win inside like the business, the hotel management?
We're going to a new system here. It's called the Power of M in the hotel. And I think that process is a real win for our hotels. It's easier. It's more, what do they say, tech friendly to
Mhm.
even a person that's not a technical person. It's just an easier process. So I think changing that system is a real win for the hotel.
Perfect.
Mhm.
How about we wrap up with a lightning round? Okay.
Okay.
So just think about the first thing that comes to your mind, short answers. Okay. Most underrated skill in hotel sales.
Sales.
Sales. Yeah, definitely. Tough one. Most overrated hospitality technology trend.
Food service, I don't know.
I think you said it already without wanting to say it, but I think you said you don't like automated check-ins.
Yeah,
So basically,
automate check-in, yes.
that would be like overrated for you. Yeah,
Yes,
maybe.
yes.
One thing every guest notices, even if they do not say it.
Cleanliness,
I think also I would add to that because of my own experience, how friendly the staff is.
yes.
Best hospitality experience you've had as a guest and what made it stand out.
That's not one word. Friendliness and being acknowledged. A person noticed that it was my birthday
Okay.
when I gave them my ID to check in. They automatically noticed it was my birthday and upgraded me without me asking.
That's beautiful. It doesn't have to be one word. I like that. Yeah.
Mhm,
That's very good because it made you feel it was a personalized experience for you.
mhm,
Personalized experience. So that's good.
mhm.
What do great operators do that average ones do not?
They praise their people, they empower their people, and give them flexibility to make decisions.
Okay. You said this in the intro, but let's imagine a topic world that you're not in hospitality. What do you think you'd be doing?
Gosh, if I wasn't in hospitality, I still would be working with people. So I would be a doctor or a nurse.
Interesting. Okay. And if there was one thing in hospitality that you could fix, like one thing, you have to choose like just one thing and say, "Hey, have a magic wand and I fix it right now." What would that be and why?
Oh, guys, that one is hard.
Sorry.
There's one thing I could fix. I would say again the automation process.
Okay. Makes sense. No, that makes sense.
Mhm,
I like it. I like it.
mhm.
So one word. This is one word only to describe the
Okay,
future of hospitality.
booming.
Perfect. I think I like it. I like it. That's it. So, Cassandra, this has been a great conversation. Thank you. I really appreciate how you broke down the connection between sales, guest experience, operations, all the team culture, right? You mentioned about your staff as well, which is the best part of what you think works best inside the hotel management. So, exactly what the kind of behind the scenes that we'd like to bring into deep ocean into deep
Okay.
current, sorry, by oceans. Where can people connect with you or with what Helix is doing and building?
If someone wants to connect with me, I am in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm at the Courtyard by Marriott. We're at 1824 Montgomery Highway, Hoover, Alabama 35244. My email address is Cassandra Willingham, and that is CILLINGHAM at Helix Hotels with the S on the end.com. So C Willingham at helixhotels.com. I can be reached at the hotel at area code 205-988-5000, and I'm at extension 7903.
That's perfect. Very
Mhm,
thorough answer. So there's no way you can miss Cassandra, guys.
that's right.
You know where to find her. So perfect. Thanks again for joining us. And thanks to everyone listening to Deep Current. If you're building, operating, or modernizing hospitality businesses and this conversation hit home, you can find us at oceanscode.com. See you next time.